Alright, so 1978's Halloween is the classic slasher horror film that started it all. We would not have what we have now with numerous sequels and what we have with the character of Michael Myers if not for this iconic film. And what can I really say that hasn't already been said about this movie? It's such a classic. Like I said before, it's super iconic. So many iconic scenes. And I mean, the character of Michael Myers and also Laurie Strode in general, just two really great characters within the slasher movie realm, I guess you could say. Um, I would say this is probably my favorite, if not my second favorite, slasher movie next to the original Scream. But I mean, even 5-year-olds like know about Michael Myers. It's such an iconic character that everybody knows it, even the people that don't watch these types of movies. And I mean, Michael Myers for me, I think would be my favorite slasher. Ghostface, not so much because I don't know. There's so many other people that play that one character, and I mean, with this here, you're getting the same person essentially every time, and does it get ridiculous? For sure, as it goes on. But as for this movie, it has a certain level of realism. There's certain things in there where I'm just like, yeah, that probably wouldn't be like physically possible to do, but Michael getting stabbed, getting shot, and still being fine. It adds to the lore and the mystery and the suspense of the character in the movies. And I think they do it very well in this one for sure. In fact, I would say they do it best in this one as opposed to even the newer ones with building suspense. Because with the newer ones, in those, Michael Myers is kind of just a crazy killing machine that just kills and kills and kills, especially in Halloween Kills, which is fitting for the title. But with those movies, you feel like there's a little less suspense. And it's been a minute since I've watched those ones, but there's so many kills going on in those movies. Whereas in this one, you barely see any kills until like the last 15, 20, 25 minutes. Because the rest of the movie is just building up suspense, showing this character who is just stalking these different people all around and trying to lure them into little traps and whatnot and finding the right time to strike. And that is something I've always loved about the character of Michael Myers. He is just horrifying and just creepy and all sorts of stuff. By the way, he kills 2 dogs in this movie, and that is just ooh, enough to make you hate a character, I guess, which is perfect. You're not supposed to like him. And that's the thing with a lot of slashers is like, sure, they're killing people, but there's a certain level of charm to them. You gotta kind of love it because they are the characters that they are. And I don't think Michael Myers would be as iconic as he is now if they showed a lot more of him killing animals, I guess. People would be a lot more against him, but no, people love to see Michael Myers, so they haven't really done a whole lot like that since, but it just goes to show how different this character is as the movies go on. Very different from, maybe not very, but quite different from how he was in this original film. And you really don't get to know a whole lot of the backstory about the character of Michael Myers. You get to know about him basically killing his sister on Halloween night as a kid, and then basically for the rest of that time, you imagine that he's probably in some sort of mental facility. And pretty much towards the beginning of the movie, we see him break out and head to Haddonfield, Illinois, where he stalks upon Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, and her friends Annie and Linda, played by Nancy Loomis at the time, now Nancy Keys, and PJ Souls, who plays Linda there. Which, by the way, Jamie Lee Curtis, not her first acting gig, but definitely the first thing to really put her on the map. I mean, I feel like it's safe to say she probably wouldn't quite have the career she has now if not for this movie. Same kind of goes for John Carpenter there, because before this movie, the only other hit that he had was a hit over in Europe. And ever since Halloween, he was able to do a lot of other really great movies, such as The Thing, Christine, Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York and LA. So a lot of really iconic films that he probably wouldn't have been able to do if not making this film, which was actually a quite rushed film. The script, I believe I heard, only took 3 weeks to make, which is crazy because some scripts take certain writers their entire lives to write, depending on if what kind of project that it is. So that's quite a turnaround, even for today's standards, I would say. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's a very short time frame. And also from what I heard, that on set, like they were filming at a very fast pace, and so there's a few like little mistakes in there, but it's nothing that really like ruins anything for me. Um, I don't know. Sometimes the imperfections kind of add to it a little bit and add to the realism, so I can appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, so many iconic moments in this movie, such as Michael Myers dressed in the ghost costume and whatnot. The whole scene of, and spoiler alert, but this movie's been out since '78. But the whole scene of Laurie finding one of her friends dead and her boyfriend dead, and then her being next to a dark closet, and you just see that mask, that face of Michael Myers start to appear slowly from the darkness, and that's one of my favorite shots in this movie for sure. But yeah, I mean, like, it's hard to say enough about this film that hasn't already been said because this movie's been talked about so many times. But I guess I can just kind of give you some of my takes on it. Before I do that, I do want to talk about some of the cast and writers and whatnot. So, obviously, as I said before, this is directed by John Carpenter, and it is written by John Carpenter as well as Deborah Hill. It stars Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. We have Donald Pleasence as Loomis. As I said before, Nancy Loomis at the time, now Nancy Keys as Annie, PJ Souls as Linda. We also have Charles Cyphers as Brackett, which I believe is the father to Annie's character. We also have Kyle Richards as Lindsay and Brian Andrews as Tommy, the two kids that Laurie was babysitting in the film. And they actually come back in Halloween Kills. Both of these actors reprise their roles. And then we have Nick Castle as the Shape, which is the name given to Michael Myers in this movie, or at least for the credits. They call him Michael Myers and whatnot in the movie, but as for the credits, they call it the Shape, which I think is definitely a really cool name. I like that name. It's very ominous. So yeah, bear with me. I'm COVID free, but I'm still kind of having the symptoms, so I'm all stuffed up. So if I have to breathe out of my mouth a lot, you know why. Bear with me. But let me get into some notes here. The music in general in this movie, not just the theme music, but the music in between the scenes where it's like, excuse me, I can't really do that noise right now because of my congestion, but yeah, I can't do that at all, can I? But yeah, just the music in here, the way it builds suspense, it's just so eerie and creepy. And man, it's the kind of thing I could just play while passing out candy or whatever during Halloween. Like it's just the perfect music. It's the ambiance music for the Halloween season, at least for me. Like if I'm putting up these decorations, I was listening to the Halloween theme song while putting up these decorations. Like it's iconic music. They don't really make, I mean, they make really good music for movies nowadays, very eerie music for horror movies especially, but nothing comes close to the music that they made for this movie, in my opinion. Enough said. But yeah, let me look here. I wrote down here, I think every actor in here is adequate for the film that they're in because it's I mean, it has a lot of cheesy elements. It was made in the 70s. There's a lot of cheesy lines, a lot of horror movie tropes, which, speaking of which, I gotta wonder how many of those tropes actually came from this movie. But, yeah, but everybody's good for the most part in this movie that they're casted in. But the people that really stand out are Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasence, which both of them actually weren't even the first pick for those characters. For Jamie Lee Curtis, the first pick was actually Annie Lockhart. And for the first pick for Loomis, it was Christopher Lee, who played Grand Moff Tarkin in Star Wars, I believe. Sorry. It's terrible. I know. But yeah, both actors in here, not the first pick, but the fact that they're in this movie makes it so much better, and wouldn't want to have it any other way. I really don't think I mean, I think for the Rob Zombie movies, they might have recasted Laurie Strode. I'm pretty sure they went with that story route, but it's hard to come close to what Jamie Lee Curtis did in this movie and movies coming or I guess I almost said movies prior, but that wouldn't make sense, would it? The movies that came after it, I guess you could say. But yeah, she's iconic as the character. I think Donald Pleasence as Loomis is fantastic casting as well. Um, yeah, I just love how Michael Myers is like the silent creeper in this movie and waits for his moment to strike. And as opposed to the new movies, especially Halloween Kills, it feels like he's just a rage monster that just kills and kills and kills. And, you know, for Halloween Kills, that works because it fits with the title and what's going on in that movie. But at times I'm just like, I don't know, that there it's departing so much from what Michael Myers started as. And I get that they have to do new takes and put more kills in there, more kills and more thrills to bring people back to the theater. But for me, the kind of slow suspense, the slow build to it is very much worth it to me, in my opinion. But for the sake of a lot of people's entertainment value and their what's the word I'm looking for here? Their attention, I guess you could say, their attention span. I can understand why they kind of do that for the new ones because a lot of younger people are going to see those movies. You know, me especially, I think it's cool to be able to see Halloween movies in the theater because for the longest time, I either wasn't interested in it or just wasn't able to go because of age. But yeah, it's cool to be able to see Halloween movies in the theater again. Let me see here. Oh yeah, Laurie is definitely the only responsible teenager in this movie. I wouldn't say the only responsible adult because Sheriff Brackett actually listens to Loomis, whereas in other horror movies, the sheriffs would be completely useless. But Brackett in this case, luckily not. He's actually working with Loomis. So, trying to see if I have any other. One more thing here. We actually get to see Michael's face in this movie, which, if you're not a huge, like, Halloween fan or anything like that, you'll know that that's a very rare occurrence to see Michael's face. And I'm surprised I forgot about it being in this first movie. So definitely crazy there. But I think there were a few different actors that played Michael. I didn't have them all credited here. But yeah, crazy to see his face in this movie for sure. Probably going to wrap this up soon because my nose is getting really stuffed and my throat feels like I need to cough a bunch. But yeah, I think I pretty much said everything I need to say about this movie. Not a super in-depth review, but it's a movie from 1978 that people have probably talked about to death. So I just wanted to give some of my opinions on it, kind of heading into the next few Halloween films. But yeah, let me know what you think of this film down in the comments below. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you in the middle? I definitely love this movie. I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8.5 out of 10. Not like my favorite horror movie of all time or anything like that. Probably not even, I would say it's probably in my top 10. But for me, I have a little bit different taste in horror movies. I'm not necessarily a huge like slasher person, but I do love these films. I love these characters, and they are very fun movies to watch. So 8.5 out of 10 I think is very fair for how I feel about this one. But yeah, again, let me know what you think of the movie down below. And if you haven't seen it, are you going to watch it this Halloween season? I would love to know why or why not. Definitely recommend checking it out. Even though it gave some things away, there's still plenty in there to enjoy and plenty of surprises as well. So I would definitely recommend it. But leave a like on the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And I should be back tomorrow to review Halloween 2018. See you later.